we're going to lose our language. We're going to lose our dress sense. We'll probably even lose the culture. But I personally feel we're never going to lose the love of the food that we grew up with.
Parveen, thank you so much for joining me on Too British to Be Asian on my podcast. Welcome.
I'll tell you, but first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
On doing this podcast and Too British to Be Asian. And I often feel too British to be Asian. And it's going to be on YouTube. So I think a lot of people are going to be interested in what you have to offer. And it's going to be great. I've already told a few people, children are very interested. So first of all, well done and congratulations and well done for putting yourself out there. Sharon, it's not easy.
Thank you.
But you're going to be amazing, so it's fine.
Thank you.
Interesting. So the Spice Queen title came up because actually in my business, I actually have my own range of spices. So on the surface of it, I'm an Asian woman that cooks. Okay, that's not rocket science. But I do have my own business, cookbook, YouTube channel, and my own spice range for the last 12 years. And that's my business, and it's a spice business. And luckily, look at my mouse mat. It's Parveen Spice Queen.
Oh, I love that.
My mouse mat. And my name is Parveen, and it's brilliant because it rhymes with Spice Queen.
Oh.
So it's really sort of tabloidy, but it's memorable. It's memorable. So people just call me the Spice Queen, and I say, oh, I'll take that.
I think it's very.
Called.
I think it's very fitting, to be honest with you.
It is.
One of the reasons I actually wanted you on the show, and one of the reasons, because we met, I think, last year, and we really hit it off, and I just loved your kind of honesty about how it came of Indian cooking and identity, and kind of there's part of me that I think, because I wasn't brought up cooking Indian food, I kind of feel like I've missed out on that. But actually growing up, when I look back, I had a bit of a hate relationship with Indian food because I really did, and it's such a shame now but when I was growing up and feeling quite conflicted with my identity of being British and Indian, my mum used to make these amazing Indian food, and I absolutely loved it. I think back now and I can just go back and smell her.
You know what, Sharon? Smell evokes such memories.
It really does.
I kid you, not to smell the smell of gajar ka halwa and cardamom wafting through the house, reminding you of Diwali or Eid and things like that. I personally think food is what is gonna keep us joined or together with our heritage. We're gonna lose our language. We're gonna lose our dress sense. We'll probably even lose the culture. But I personally feel we're never gonna lose the love of the food that we grew up with.
No, I totally agree. And it's funny that you say smell, because when I was growing up, I used to when my mum used to cook Indian food in the kitchen, I used to freak out, run downstairs, get all my clothes off the dry, get them out of the kitchen and literally straight upstairs.
Because I've been there. I'll tell you a joke, Sharon. So I'm going to say the P word, because I'm Pakistani. So again, I agree. My mum used to cook it, and the worst thing is I remember English people would think, oh my God, there's an Asian, and you smell of curry. And we did smell of curry because it doesn't only go into your clothes; it ingests into your hair.
Yeah.
It actually gets ingested into the walls.
Yeah.
And your things like curtains. So I'm obsessed with not cooking in the clothes that I wear. However, I remember this was very late 1970s. And I had a crush on a guy, and he was so beautiful, and he was so white. He was blonde haired, blue-eyed. I really fancied him at the age of 12. But I had a bigger moustache than my brothers at that time.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
And I remember sitting next to this guy, and we gave him a nickname, Isaac. My friend just ringed him and was like, "Watch this. I'm going to send it to her." I sat next to him in home ec, and he said, "Do you know what, Carmen?" He said, "You smell alright for a Paki." And do you know what I said, Sharon? I went, "Oh, thanks."
That happened to me once. I remember being in school and someone saying to me, "You know what? A part of our group, you're the best Paki that we know." And I was like, "Thank you." Yeah. I was so complimented.
So that's how we took it in those days. Yeah. Racism was right. We understood our place. I mean, fast forward 30 years, my daughter would be appalled if somebody called her. She would have them there and then. She would not take that in her stride. We did. Yeah. We grew up in the 70s and 80s, and there was a lot of racism around. So I did not identify with my culture. At home, I was this Pakistani Muslim girl who had to be quiet outside the house. I tried to be this funny side of myself because I thought if people found me quite funny, they would relate to me. Yeah. And I wasn't the ugliest child. Honestly, I had no confidence, Sharon. I just was so unattractive. I just, there was no redeeming feature. You know, hey ho, I discovered wax at 14, 15, and I sort of grew into my looks. So when people say to me I'm attractive now, I certainly don't believe them, because I think my personality is better than my personality. And then sort of discovered Mac, and there you go, you know, confidence
I think
down.
as well, in those days growing up, like for some reason elders and people around you thought it was okay to give you their opinion even if you didn't ask them. So you know, you didn't ask them about your looks, but I'm sure they gave you your opinion of how they felt that you should look, or you should act, or you should, you
But
know,
if you
feel.
go back to what the image of beauty was from the 50s, 60s, 70s, beauty, the image of beauty was blonde haired, blue eyed. So you had all the Marilyn Monroe's and the Rita and Doris Day and people like that. And as time's gone on, the idea of beauty has changed, and that's thanks to people of colour in the media. People like Ashwarya Rai, we got Halle Berry, we got Shakira, we've got J-Lo. They're all quite a mocha colour like we are.
Yeah.
So the idea of beauty growing up when we were younger was white. And so we, you know, I remember wanting to be white. I wanted to be white. My mum would follow me in town, shout, "Oh, Korean, Punjabi," and I would walk off thinking, I don't know who she is. Yeah, your mum, not my mum. No, I'm English.
No,
and
exactly.
I wanted to be white. I wanted to eat what they ate. I wanted to speak English. And I didn't, and I for a while did despise my own culture, because I didn't know where I was supposed to fit in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. I certainly can, of fitting in. I didn't know, and that's partly why I had this hate around food, because although I loved to eat it, I didn't like the smell of it, and because I know people would judge me. Because actually, you know what I did when I would go out, and I would go into a shop, a sweet shop, and they were owned predominantly by Asian people. I could smell the Indian food, and I would judge them because I was trying to fit in. And so, like, you know, I didn't learn to cook food. And I think my mum sort of tried as well, but it was very hard. She had two children. She was kind of like on her own, bringing us up. But I really like rejected culture, and part of that was rejecting how to learn how to cook. However, now, you know, things are changing. My attitude has changed. And actually, I've got a child now, and now I've got to lead by example, and I've got to learn from my past mistakes. And, you know, so one of my things, we are in COVID-19, we are in lockdown. So I've got a little bit more time on my hands. Yeah. So what I want to do is cook an Indian meal, like from scratch.
Really?
And I was...
Is it lucky I teach cooking, Sharon?
I know. I need you. Help me, please.
No, I am going to change your mindset about the smell of Indian cooking. I really, really am. I totally understand everything you're saying, and I get what you're saying. But times have changed. It took me a long time to be comfortable with my identity, and that's not just being a British Asian. That's being British. That's being Northern. That's being Pakistani. That's being Muslim all at the same time. And it took me until about I hit 40, actually. So you got a few years there to be comfortable in my own skin. But when I had children, yes, that's when you think, well, where am I going with this child? What am I teaching this child? So you have to look at where you're from to look at where you're going.
Yeah.
So in my world, where I teach cooking, I have lots of emails from people who, again, grew up like you, with their parents, not taking any notice of what mum was cooking, just that mum cooked it, or grandma or nanny or daddy. And when you ask how to make it, they say a little bit of this and a little bit of that and that much of this and that much of that. And so you have no idea of the concept of the measurements.
And that's,
so when I read my cookbook,
that's really funny, because that was one of the things, like I even discussed it today, was like when I was growing up, I used to say to my mum how much salt, and she'd just used to get a massive wooden spoon, and she'd just go pour it, and I'd pour in it, and she'd go, okay, put it in, put a little bit more in, okay, taste it, bust, that's it, that's enough. And I'm like, so how much was that? She goes, oh, you know, and she'd go, this with the hand thing.
But was it this much or was it this much?
Yeah.
So we all grew up with mum teaching like that. And this whole mindset, if you can use a recipe, then you're not a good cook, which is not the way to go. My daughter had learned to cook using my cookbook. And the cookbook is a proper desi. I mean, you watched my YouTube channel earlier, didn't you? I'll be making the lambuna.
I swear to God, I've watched quite a few of your videos, not all 20, but I have watched quite a few of them. And the one that really, really took me back was when you did your lamb dish, your lambuna. And basically, because I've gone to other people's houses, you know, family and stuff, and they've made me a lovely Indian meal.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't look like my mum's, and obviously you want it to look how you grew up. And basically, I looked at that, and when you took at the end and you took the kind of like lid off, and I looked inside, and I was like, and you took it out and you put it onto the plate. I just suddenly was like,
plate, yeah.
that was it. I was like, that's how it looks. And I was going to my partner, that's how it looks. That's how it should look. That's how it should look. And you know, and I just thought, I really want to make that. I really do. And it was my favourite, and I want it to be not want it to be, but I want to share it with my daughter. And
you're going to make it, Sharon. I'm going to send you a little mini spice kit. You have to share it on your channel. When we were making that video, we did no shortcuts and cheating. We cut away for about 13 minutes while it was cooking. But when I eat it, every single thing I cook on my TV show, on my YouTube channel, and when I'm demonstrating every single recipe is always real. I don't use any fake food, which is quite common. People use pretend food, but I have, right? My eyes roll back because it's so tasty. So I'm all about being authentic to what I am and how I grew up. And being a British Asian person, it took a long time to get to where I am. But me now, what do? I totally celebrate everything that is my culture.
But you've accomplished so much as well. I mean, you've had your own ITV show. You know, you've got books out. I mean, like you're an expert in your field. You know, and you are celebrated.
You know, I'm loath to call myself an expert because every time you say an expert, I'm there to shoot you down. I think I'm very passionate about what I do. So if you were to ring me, say, right, Parveen, I'm making your chicken masala or I'm making your dal, I've got to the point where I put the onions in and so's happened, it tastes like this. I will know exactly what you've done and exactly how to rectify that because I wrote those recipes and because I've been teaching it for over 13 years professionally.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-teacher, and that's why I'm comfortable teaching.